Brian writes in and says, where is the church during the 7-year tribulation? And he puts tribulation in capital T as outlined in Revelation 4 through 19. Now, I looked that up first. Revelation chapter 4 does not have a 19th verse, so I'm assuming that this means between chapter 4 through 19. So I'm not quite understanding the 4 through 19 part, but
you understand the book of Revelation, so go at it.
All right, so let's answer the question this way. Where was the church during the 7-year tribulation? Well, first of all, we need to define the word tribulation and why 7-year is attached to it, because that can be a little bit confusing. And this is something that happens in Revelation all the time. Look in Revelation chapter 1, verse 9. This is going to help you understand a lot more about the word tribulation. He says, I, John, both your brother and companion in the what? Tribulation.
I hope I got that right. I was working on the chord over
here. You were
here.
right on the money. And in the kingdom and patience of Jesus Christ on the island that's called Patmos for the word of God and for the testimony of Jesus Christ. This is such an important verse to understand because John is saying he is already in the tribulation, just like he's already saying he is in the kingdom. That was Guyton banging the microphone there.
Sorry.
So this idea of a 7-year tribulation, that is actually, just to be blunt, that is a false doctrine that has come about from lots of different scholars and different people who look at Revelation from a different point of view. Revelation is like one of my things that there's so many layers to this. Let me just say this real quick and then we'll move on trying to explain it more. Revelation is looked at 4 different ways, basically, and that is you look at it from a historical point of view, as in everything's been done. You look at it from a futuristic point of view, like everything is still to be fulfilled, or you look at it from this historical kind of everything's happening in a certain sequence, and then there's what's called the spiritual view, and that is that this is figurative language and that it represents all of time, or mainly the Christian age, of course, and the tribulation began back in Acts chapter 2, really right after Acts chapter 2 at the beginning of the church, and will continue until final judgment day. All right.
If you had to put a, I mean, you got Stephen being stoned to death. I mean, that's tribulation. I was going to say Acts 8 especially, because the church had to scatter abroad because of the persecution that was taking place.
Don't forget in Matthew chapter 24, Jesus also is talking about the destruction of Jerusalem. He's prophesying that, and he calls that tribulation. Now, we know for a fact that that's already come and gone, and so there's tribulation. And so they're going back to the question, where is the church during, I'm going to just take out the word 7-year there. Where is the church during the tribulation? It's here right now.
Yep.
We're in the tribulation right now. That's the actual answer to this question. Now, I realize that some people don't understand that. They've been taught Revelation a different way, and I would be happy to sit down and study with you. Be happy to explain it more, show you, or you can even go to margaretstreetchurchofchrist.org.
Jeff, if you're still there, not Jeff, Jack can put the link on here for us.
Yeah, there's a link to our YouTube page where I went through an entire series of lessons on Revelation, and I break it down and try to explain it real simple so you can see it for yourself.
And I don't agree with him completely, but I've mentioned this book before that's written by David De Silva. And I would highly recommend some people reading this, because he wrote it because being a student of the Bible, he got frustrated and actually cited at the very beginning of the book that he gets frustrated when people try and use the book of Revelation as a playbook to the end of times. And
that's a great point.
And this guy is supposed to be an academic out there, but he said, look, I want this to be written in a way that just your average person can understand. And it really is. and he shows us a lot of that historical meaning that's in the book of Revelation that people are trying to make it mean something today. But when John wrote from the Isle of Patmos to people that were living during the time of Rome, it screams fulfillment then, not today.
Yeah, it even says at the beginning, these things that shall shortly come to pass. And man, what a great point. And we need to make sure we say that every time we get a question about Revelation. This is a book that is supposed to encourage Christians, not scare them. It is a book that has been fulfilled and is going to be fulfilled. And it is full of figurative language.
Exactly. And so we got to be careful. Brian, let us know if that answered it. If you got further follow-up on it, we'll be happy to try and do that.